Looks like we're getting
Signals.
Yep.
We're live,
I wouldn't call it live.
but we're live. Right?
What?
It's the Jack
and Cathy
Show.
shit show.
And there we go.
Yeah, how was that?
Okay,
Did you like
I
that
think if yeah.
Okay.
Welcome. How's it feel to be a guest on the show that you used to produce?
I think it took about time, you know.
Oh, you're blaming me now that we didn't do this fast enough?
You know, I was the first person to listen to your first ever podcast.
You had to.
Well,
Don't make it sound like
I was still the first.
You had to. That was part of production. You can look at the camera every once in a while if you want to do like a, what's that called? The fourth wall? Isn't that called breaking the fourth?
Yeah, the office move.
I do that a lot. See, if you watched our recent podcast, we do that all the time.
I
have
watch
so busy.
all the time.
You're so busy.
I loved that last one.
What was it about?
You and Cathy talking about something random.
Nice. That's awesome.
Am I close?
Pretty much. Well, it's all relationship driven. We were talking about love and the future.
That's what it usually is.
Yeah. We were talking about the same stuff you and I were talking about at lunch today. So you know, a lot of people are going to listen to this because you're on it now.
Is that so? Am I a big draw?
Yeah, for sure. More family members will listen because Alex will spread the word. So no one gives a shit about me and Cathy, but they care about the kids. Every time you guys have been on, like Alex was on, everyone listens.
That's cool.
Well, no, it's not, because it's not a good reflection on us.
Well, it means that I'm helping.
Correct. We will go from 30 to 31 listeners.
Nice.
Or something like that.
Maybe 32, because I want to listen to myself, too.
Now you're going to listen. Do you want to produce this one, too? It's
It's
really cool software. You'd love it.
I'll take a look at while you do it.
It's really cool. Oh, you know what we forgot to do?
Wouldn't we do? Oh, we
forgot
didn't
to
clap,
clap.
did we?
Shoot.
Oh, well,
Do it now.
That sounds like the engineer's problem.
It will be my problem, but if you clap now, it'll be easier for me to... And just clap now. You ready? Oh, that was terrible. 1, 2, 3. Nice. See, musicians always have good timing. Speaking of good timing, where's the drum kit?
Downstairs.
Do you want to bring it up here today while I'm here? We'll just jam.
I could do that. It's in the storage closet.
So we were, speaking of jamming, Cathy and I were you in the car with us when we were playing the Foo Fighters songs in Costa Rica? No.
I don't think I was.
When we drove, that's right, because you were debating your brother about
the
pyramids,
pyramids.
etc., and so on. When we were driving to that place in Costa Rica, that place where waterfalls and all that other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
we put on, I said, you guys want to hear what Key and I used to play in the basement? And so, do you know what song I put on? Can you guess?
White Limo and Run.
And Run. I put them both on. It was freaking awesome. I remember you getting in so much trouble too. But it was funny because I said, this is the song that got you and I in trouble a lot.
Well, Mom would come down and say the windows were vibrating in the kitchen.
Do you think they really were? Probably.
Probably.
Because I had my orange amp then, right?
And it was an acoustic kit in a concrete basement.
Oh, it was just vibrating the shit out of it, wasn't it?
It was loud.
It was shaking the house.
I should have been made to wear earplugs.
So, just want to make sure I got two things right now. I did invite you on the show soon enough, and now you can't hear well because of me.
What?
But
What was that?
That's a good one. By the way, so keep going. Forget going on what you were saying. You were saying something, or no, that was it.
No, that was it. I don't know.
So I got a question for you. So we're going to talk about nothing, right? You have nothing you want to talk about.
I'm just here. I'm a guest.
So okay, well, here's what we're going to do, because we have 2 commercial breaks. At the end, we do this thing with the Skin Deep and
Yes.
young Cathy, who's not with us on the show, because I'm in Seattle, to be sure, anyone listening, because I probably should have said that. Welcome to the podcast, Key, because we're recording this from from Seattle.
From my apartment in Seattle.
From your apartment in Seattle.
Yes.
I'm the first one to see it.
Mm-hmm.
You just got here a few weeks ago.
Start of January.
Still trying to get organized and all this other good stuff, getting yourself ready, trying to figure out where stuff goes. Guitars are here and then they're not. And you're going to play a song for us, right? At some point. You're going to just make a song up. Yep. Key said that she is going to do a song for us. And then I'm just kidding. I got 7 questions here. You have to pick 1 through 7, and that's the question we ask one another at the end of the episode.
I see. Yeah, yes.
Is that cool?
I do know how this works.
Yeah. So we'll still do a skin deep thing. We have no topic because I had suggested that we do a skin deep episode where you sit across and read really deep questions, and you nixed that really fast. You went verbatim. You want to say what you did? You went, So we're not doing that. On that note, though, I'd like to talk about a couple of observations I have since I'm here.
Okay.
The first one is, I think you should change your mattress. Thank you for letting me sleep on it, but it's a little soft.
I told you myself, I
Yep.
am not a fan of
Okay.
the mattress.
Don't want Rainey to get upset.
It's a queen. It's big.
It's bigger than the full.
It's bigger than the full, but
I get it.
It hurts my back.
Yes, it hurts mine too.
It turns into a pit.
It does for sure. Do you ever have those moments where someone asks you for an opinion and you want to try to stay neutral and go, "Oh, it's okay.
Oh yeah, because I was like, what'd you think of the mattress? And you were like, oh,
It's not bad."
because I hate it.
And then I went,
So-
"Oh, thank God." So the mattress, we're going to get a new one, right?
It's on the docket. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Second, can we talk about bidets?
Sure.
So I'm visiting you because I was asked to be on a podcast called Hard Knocks, and normally the podcasters from Hard Knocks travel to their guests or to the site of the guest. And so I said, well, wait, don't come to Milwaukee. I'm going to come to Denver so I can shorten the trip and come see you, right? That's how this all came to be. And part of the deal that I asked the podcasters was, I'll make the expense to fly out. You put me up someplace then. So they said, stay at our house. Great. Really great guys. Hung out with them. But they had a bidet, like the kind you can buy it. I'm guessing you got it at Amazon for $40.
$35 maybe.
Yeah, right. So they had the same exact one. And the only thing they told me was cold water. And the last time I used a bidet was when you were 9. You're what, 32 now, right? 33? Okay, that's mean. You're 27. So you're 27.
Yes.
Okay.
I am 27.
I know how old you are. So the last time, that was 18 years ago, was the last time I used a bidet. 18, when we went to Poland together and Prague, Czech Republic and all that. But that was warm water at least, or warmish.
Yeah.
But they had a bidet in Denver. And so I had to drop a couple. And I went, all right, I'm going to give this literally a shot. And it was the best thing. I said to you today when I used your bidet, I didn't know if I felt violated or wanted to ask the toilet out on a date. So tell me, what do you think of your bidet?
I love the bidet. I think we need more of them.
Why is that? Whose idea was it? Was it yours or Rainey's?
Well, no, I discovered the bidet because of Rainey.
Okay.
Because when I met Rainey
Yeah.
at their old house they used to live at, they had a bidet, but they didn't have just any bidet. They had the $300, heated water, heated seat, air dry function.
Talks dirty to you.
If you want.
Yeah. And it was awesome.
Has a little tickler down there, I think.
This is so not like you to talk like this, but it's great. So go ahead.
But no, and I discovered bidets, and I think they're amazing.
It's awesome.
And so I got that to put in my old apartment, and it came with me.
Yeah.
It takes 5 minutes, if even, to set up.
Yep. Because knowing me, I went right to how is this whole thing set up, and there's just a divider, just a splitter at the hose that comes to feed the water tank.
Yeah, there's no electronics.
Yeah.
There's no power.
Yeah, see, that's what surprised me. I thought that I was looking, you might have thought I was in the bathroom for a long time. I wasn't using the bidet the whole time. I was truly inspecting it. So that pump that turns the water pressure on or off, because there's different levels of water pressure, right? And you're going to laugh too. So I used it, and then I went around the side and I was going to turn it on to see how it worked. And I was like, oh, you're going to get sprayed right in the face, you dumbass.
It'll hit the wall.
Yeah. So where does that pressure come? Is it just truly the water pressure from the hose?
It's just water pressure from the hose.
No
That's it.
kidding.
It's how it's fed into the design of the nozzle and
Isn't that cool?
the little valve controls on the side.
Don't you think everyone should have one of those?
I think so.
So did you tell me, did you tell me or did they tell me some come with air dryers? You told me that.
Yeah, some come with air dryers.
Because you could stop using paper towels, toilet paper then, right?
Yeah. I know in a lot of other countries that have fancy bidets and stuff, they don't use toilet paper at all. They have a towel. They have a toilet towel that they use to clean off after the bidet.
Oh, that seems like a community towel.
Well, they might have like a his and hers.
I
or
don't
something.
care. You gotta. I mean,
But yeah, they use a towel, like no different than toweling off after a shower, right?
Yeah. But when you're showering and you clean up down there, you tend to over clean the southern region anyway. We don't clean our necks really well. We clean the southern region, and so, would you trust that? Nope. I still think a little paper towel, little pat.
Little pat dry.
Well, until you get the air dryer, I would be in the bathroom for days. The funny thing is I hadn't seen one truly or used one in 18 years, and have clearly been to Europe since then, right? And just have never run. I really want to say this sounds bad. I think our American influence is just spread all over the place, that unless you go to some really unique European venue, you're going to run into very stereotypical stuff. Do you agree?
Yeah. Well, this is even technically a Japanese style bidet. The European bidet historically is a separate.
Correct. You sit
seat
on something else.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in the bathroom next to the toilet. It's a
Correct.
separate seat that you wash your basin in.
Correct.
But the
Did you say watch your basin?
Yes. The
That's
Japanese style is the built into the toilet seat, and that's what's catching on in America.
Because it's a whole lot of plumbing you have to create for
you don't
sure.
need a separate appliance.
Yeah.
You can buy an attachment for $30.
So, do you know the name brand of that? Because I will contact them and have them sponsor the Jack and Cathy Ready for This Shit show. How funny would that be that we have a bidet sponsorship, right?
I mean, it makes sense.
It does. Get done watching the show, feel clean. Come on. We could do so many taglines.
You gotta get one of the good brands, though, like the high-end brands to sponsor you.
You think I should spend more than $30? Because these guys said they spent 31 on Amazon. You were at 35.
You should not spend that for yourself. But if you're going to have someone
sponsors.
you, have the $300 brand sponsor you.
That's right.
So they send you a free bidet.
That's right.
Yes.
Good call.
Then you can
look at the camera. You can look at the camera and go, see?
Get 20% off with Shit Show 24.
Right? I mean, how funny. That's a perfect match, don't you think?
I think so.
Oh, I got to look into it. I should get Kohler to advertise with us. Anything that has to do with taking a dookie.
There you go.
Right?
Charmin.
Right? Would you like to be our marketing manager again?
Again?
Well, you kind of did our promotional stuff, sort of. Do you miss working for us?
Yes.
Do you?
I miss
You're
the closeness.
a douche. Do you miss it? No, you don't miss it. It was
It
a lot
was
of work.
fun. Like, it was nice, but it is a lot of work.
It really, it's funny you say all that, because once you got me set up with the templates on the audio stuff that we use, I forget, Peach, is it called? What's it? What's the software you have me
use
use?
the same one I used?
Yeah, what's that called?
Fruity Loops?
No,
FL Studio?
no, the one with the peach on it. What's that thing called? The recording software. We're running it right now. The Focusrite's running through it.
It's FL Studio.
FL Studio. Oh, that literally means Fruity Loops?
Oh, yes, yeah, it's Fruity Loops.
I
Studio.
never knew that.
Yes.
I never knew what FL stood for. Holy shit, that's hilarious. Yeah, I use FL Studio. It's great. And then I got Director 365. You and I talked about it for the video editing.
Yes.
It does cost money, but they had a deal, like an annual subscription for a cheap ass amount at the end of the year. And it's funny, Key, because now that we have more cameras, do you know what takes the longest amount of time?
It's sorting through all the camera stuff, right?
Well, that's one. It's uploading all the data.
So
just to sit here now and throw it up into the cloud so that I can bring it back down again. So I've got a tech question for you. Is there a way to plug in? So we're looking at getting higher end cameras, you know, like the Sonys. Is there a way to plug those in and have them feed directly to the computer?
Well, if you're getting a real camera,
Right.
you're going to get an SD card.
Oh, so I just take that and transfer
and
it.
just plug it into the computer.
Does does everyone's computer have an SD card? Or I can get an adapter, I bet, like a USB-C.
USB-C SD card readers are a dime a dozen.
And so I can just load it up. It'd be so fast, wouldn't it?
So
By
quick.
comparison. All right. So now I got another question for you. You ready for some tech stuff? Did the lights go out?
I'm sure it's still running.
It better be.
It's just the monitors decided to turn off.
Oh, that scares the shit out of me. Is it still running?
Oh, I should at least turn on
What are you turning on?
the time. So you can see.
Oh, good. All right.
15 minutes, not bad.
All right. So I want to ask one more question about tech. See if you can help me with this stuff. So the guy that I was podcasted with, the young man who's 33, I think he told you, 31, 33, he runs the whole operation. He has all the cameras set up, lighting, etc. He was saying to me that he knows that he has 4K cameras. He takes the SD card out, and then he runs it through something that reduces the size from, say, 80 gig down to 20. Does that sound familiar, like something you've heard of?
And it's probably just a compression algorithm.
It is, because he was describing it to me that the reason you can't run compression on the videos while they're going live is because they're constantly then going back and forth to try to shrink things. And so you'd get staggered stuff. So he said, this way I get this compression thing, I load it, and it's easier to work with than when I do my editing.
Right. Well, because the smaller the data size, the more responsive it's going to be in the edit process.
So is there any way you can help me set that stuff up? Because that computer is actually really nice for a laptop. It's pretty fast and robust and allows me to do this anywhere, right?
Right.
So do you feel you could help? Am I asking you too much?
No, I could set you up with FFmpeg and a couple scripts that could do that for you. It's what it's the, I forgot what FFmpeg stands for. It's a media encoder tool.
So I would load the videos, run it through this thing, it would shrink it, because here's what I'm experiencing, and we talked about this. When I put it into my video editing software, I truly have to, I'm not exaggerating, so this is why this takes forever. 365 they use, Director 365 that I use, has this thing called, I can't remember the exact name of it, multi-camera designer. And so it loads up to 4 cameras.
Oh, very cool.
And then you have to watch it. So it doesn't do it by AI yet.
Oh, right.
And the other reason it doesn't do it, so him and I were talking about this, sometimes, for example, in ours, Cathy will talk and I'll have a reaction. And so I'll record my reaction on the screen, or that'll be displayed as opposed to just her talking.
Right.
Right now, AI doesn't have that kind of nuance, right? It'll grab the speaker. You know what I mean? So like you just nodded your head. That's a cool thing to grab in video format. Anyway, I have to watch the whole thing. And invariably what happens is that the audio is working faster than the video.
Right.
And so the first time I did all these edits, I was truly delayed, and I was terrified that I was going to have missing moments, right? And then when I went back and listened to it, it's fine. Where I'm going with this is what I had to do is let the video load and sit there, like truly get completely loaded up, almost taking a half an hour before I could actually start to use it where it'd be real time. That's what he said to me. That's why he goes through that encoding process, or whatever you call it, the compression process.
It takes time. A lot of it actually depends on your storage speed. So how fast, like your SSD is.
Yeah.
As well as your like CPU power, but it's more the SSD speed that determines that.
That's awesome. You'll help me with that?
I can set you up with a little quick, easy setup. Okay. Make it good for you.
Perfect. And then maybe I can show you how this director thing works, and I could just let you run with it for a couple months. On that note, we're going to be, you can look at that camera right there, the big camera, or your own camera, whatever you want to do. We're going to be back in 2 minutes. Okay. We'll be right back. You have more to talk about, right? You have things you're going to bring up?
Absolutely.
Okay. And we will see you in 2 and 2. Hey, it's Jack from the Jack and Cathy Shit Show.
And I'm Cathy. If you've ever wondered how Jack and I stay connected,
it's definitely not my cooking.
Correct. It's the Skin Deep. They're the ultimate resource for meaningful connection with products like the And card decks, interactive journals, and conversation starter kits for families, couples, and friends.
And don't forget their YouTube channel full of raw, honest conversations with real people. It's inspiring and a great reminder that we're all just trying to figure it out.
As fans of the shit show, commonly known as shitheads, you get something special. Go to theskindeep.com/shitshow and
Easy
use
for you to say.
shit show at checkout to get 15% off everything.
That's right, 15% off their incredible products just for you, our fellow shitheads. Whether you're deepening connections with your partner, your friends, or gearing up for that in-law dinner, they've got you covered.
So check out theskindeep.com/shitshow, use code shitshow, and start talking it out. Who knows, you might even enjoy it.
The Skin Deep, making connection less awkward, one question at a time. Okay, now we're back. How cool is that?
Great. I'm gonna take some coffee.
Are you gonna drink some coffee? Okay, that's fine. Do you need to get some more? So, did you know what we did on last week's podcast? You have to get more coffee. Go get it.
I might as well.
Did you? I'm gonna keep talking. Then, do you know what we did on last week's podcast?
What did you do?
If you listened to it, you would have known. What was your biggest pet peeve? Well, I got to wait for you to get back. Key had a pet peeve that every time we did a podcast, she would get mad at me about this. Do you remember what this was? Do you remember what you'd get mad at me about? Every time we did a podcast, you'd get mad at me on this one topic.
I'm trying to remember which one you're referencing.
There's one thing that I used to do during the podcast that would make you upset. One. You're doing it right now. Do you remember?
I remember there were a couple things.
What other things were there?
Well, there was how much the microphones would move in relation to your face.
Oh yeah, we did that a lot.
There was
too.
the tapping on the table.
Yeah, I had to stop doing that.
Yeah.
That's why we sit on the couch now and we don't touch anything.
Yes.
Eating.
Oh, yeah.
So I started out the podcast last week eating food, and Cathy goes, Key would kill you. You're not eating food. We know we're not supposed to eat food. And then I said, she's not here. She's not recording. Too bad.
If you want to eat on camera, there are people who will pay for that. But
what do you mean?
It,
oh, okay.
Don't worry about it.
You mean like a wing show or something like that? Is that what you're getting at? Like I can get paid to eat on camera? Is that
Sure.
What you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Your turn to talk about topics. Second half is you.
It's my turn.
Your turn. Anything you want to ask? What's on your mind? Anything you want to think about? Nothing?
I didn't know I was going to be asked to provide
That is
context.
not your comfort or strength, is it, on the spot stuff?
Not always.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay, then I'll keep talking. Last episode, Cathy and I talked about possibly moving because the house is almost done. We're literally getting plumbing and all of that kind of stuff done next week. We start all this work. So we are going to be selling the house. Do you want to buy it, by the way? Do you want to move to Wisconsin?
I have no interest in living in
Our Wisconsin house?
Milwaukee.
I'd sell it to you for a lot of money.
I could rent it out.
Would you want to rent from us?
No, I would rent it to people.
Do you want to manage it if we rented it then? Because you won't do the podcast. Now you're going to manage our rental property?
Well, I'd have to be in Wisconsin to reliably do that.
So we're seriously contemplating, if not a permanent move, but a sojourn, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And do you mind telling everyone what you said at breakfast? Do you mind doing that? To me, when I said we're thinking of, possibly going overseas because Cathy has her EU citizenship, and you asked me a question. Do you remember it all or no?
I don't remember what I asked you, but I'm also thinking about.
Yeah, you said, could I? You asked if you could glom onto my
your
EU
citizenship. Yeah.
right. And so you could easily get your Polish citizenship because your grandparents are from there.
Mm-hmm.
And that we've learned that EU citizenship grants you incredible privilege. So is it something, your sister Alex is listening to this and she's going to fucking freak. It's so bad that I'm laughing. What did you say you would do?
I would move. I would consider moving to Europe.
Yeah.
I've thought about France.
Yeah. How come France?
Because I've always liked the idea of France.
That's it.
I've been to Italy. I wouldn't want to live most places in Italy. I would probably live in Florence.
Okay.
Florence was nice.
Did you like Venice at all or no?
I loved Venice.
You did.
It was my favorite place we went to.
Okay.
In Italy, but it is also going underwater and it's full of tourists.
Oh yeah. All the way around.
And I don't want to live in a tourist trap.
Got it. So you would go to Florence.
Possibly Florence. But I'm really curious about France.
Why don't you make a trip there then?
Because going to Europe is expensive.
Well, no, I know it can be. What about saving up? So, did you hear the talk that Cathy and I are going to have a big European trip for our 60th birthday?
I did not hear that. No.
Okay, you have to hang out with us more often, or maybe listen to the podcast. So
maybe if people visited me.
I am here. Where's everybody else? Scene. So we both turned 60 this year, and your sister Alex turns 30. And so I don't think she wants to have 10 years ago, she's like, we should have a joint party. And of course, as she got older, get away from me. And so I don't know what they're doing, but we're going to definitely plan to go to Spain and Portugal for our 60th. So I turned 60 in December. Cathy turned 60 in 26, in March of 26. So would you want to go on a trip then with us? If that's when we made like this big group trip to go, would you go with us?
I would consider going.
Would you be able to start saving up? And we're not paying for this. This is not.
I didn't think so.
Would you? How do you think you'd like? Would you like to go? What do you think of it?
I would be interested in trying.
Yeah.
I like Europe.
How many? You've been there twice, right?
Twice, yeah.
You've been there more than your siblings.
I've been to 3 different European countries.
Poland, Prague, and Italy.
Yes.
Right?
Well, Czech Republic. Prague isn't a country.
Czech Republic, rather. And then Germany, too, you could count that.
Oh, I guess.
Because we connected.
Yeah.
Right.
Through Berlin, right?
Or
Munich.
It was Munich. I think we flew through to Italy. Did we fly direct to Prague?
No, I think we connected through
Germany also?
Germany, yeah.
Okay. I don't remember now.
That was a long time ago. I
You
was
were
a little
9.
child.
You were 9. Did you like that trip?
Of course I liked that trip.
Tell everyone about it. Tell everyone why you liked it. It was terrible. It was terrible for me.
Well, I remember getting sick the first few nights in Prague.
Yeah, you couldn't go out.
Which was not fun.
Yeah.
But I just remember having a ton of fun as a kid.
What do you remember most?
Not much. Not a lot of memories.
Yeah.
I remember Krakow a little bit.
Yeah.
And the dragon statue.
Yeah, you always loved that.
I did. I have the statue here somewhere. If it's
the little thing. Yeah, yeah.
Mine broke, so the dragon came off the pedestal.
Oh.
It broke while at Mom's house. So
she did it. Son of a bitch.
Who knows?
Son of a bitch.
I remember playing football, like American football, with a couple of like second cousins or whatever they are.
Remember how fascinated they were with throwing a football? There's no way you would remember like I did, but you and I were playing catch and their eyes were like saucers. How do you do that? So you remember that?
I remember that. And they also had that video game they were playing with the planes.
I don't remember that. I do remember you playing soccer against them.
Yeah.
Because that's what they crushed you. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all they played.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think then we went to go play Madden football and they had no clue. What else do you remember from
I remember the train. The train ride we took.
Oh,
Was that to Krakow or
it
from
was,
Krakow?
It was from Prague to Krakow. Yes.
Yes. Because I had my little Game Boy,
Oh yeah.
which I think you had gotten me just before the trip,
Yeah.
so I could have something for the travel times.
Yeah.
I remember playing Canasta with Jodge's family.
Do you remember when that little old lady who lived on the farm killed the chicken? Do you remember that at all?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I definitely remember that
Oh,
one.
come on. Tell me about it.
It's just,
Do you
killed a
remember?
chicken.
Do you remember her? You almost passing out or no?
I don't remember much about how I felt about it, but I do remember it was something along the lines of like, I like
describe?
that chicken.
Can you describe what you remember?
Well, because they had a little farmhouse thing on top of a hill,
Right,
And
yeah.
there was this pen with a bunch of chickens, and
Yeah.
there were crops and whatever else.
Yeah.
And I was just watching the chickens, and she comes out and says something in Polish,
Right.
and I was like, I like that chicken, and then she walked in there and just like grabbed it by the neck and like popped it on a stump and
Chopped its head
chopped
off.
its head off.
Well, what I don't know if you know the story behind that, but Babchen Judge has said to me, because let me back up. I studied Rosetta Stone to learn Polish. And even though your grandparents obviously are fluent in it and your mom's fluent in it, I was only picking up things. So I just said,
Right.
well, I'm going to study it for 6 months prior to going. So while I couldn't really speak it, well, I could understand it. So I could piece sentences together because I'd catch verbs and nouns and all that stuff. So what they had asked when you went out to the farm area was, do you guys want chicken for dinner? And so Bub just said, because I said, is she asking us just to go pick our chicken now? Because I'm thinking she had it in the fridge. Right. So we were going to eat. You probably don't remember this, but we had farm fresh eggs every morning. Like she walked out there, grabbed eggs from the coop, and we ate the eggs right there. So where I'm going with this is she was like, go pick a chicken. And so I looked at you and went, do you want to pick a chicken for dinner tonight? I don't think you put 2 and 2 together. So you went, that one, and you've just picked one, and she grabs it by the neck and just, remember, just rips it and snaps its neck, takes the axe, boom, whops its head off. I gotta laugh. Whops its head off, blood starts squirting out because it's still pulsing, and then she just starts yanking feathers out. They're flying all over the place, and all of a sudden I look at you and your eyes are totally curling up inside your head, and I went, yep, taking him inside. Taking you inside now. I thought you were gonna pass out. It was a good trip though, wasn't it?
was good. I definitely remember the deal you had made with me
Oh yeah,
with the camera.
tell that deal. That was a good one.
You had given me the camera to take pictures for most of the trip, and I got some good pictures.
Yeah, great pictures. Yeah. Well, that's specific. Well, no, it was the whole trip. You're right.
It was the whole trip long, and you told me I would get, I think it was $5.
It was $5.
$5 for every picture of a pretty lady that I got. It was $10 if I was in the picture.
So it was $10 if you could convince them to take a picture with you.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
You were 9.
And so we were, I do know we went to a college campus at one point, I think in Warsaw, and Uncle Mark asked a couple of college
That's
girls
right.
if they wanted to take a picture with me, and so
That's
that
right.
was my $20 picture.
It was. Yeah.
But then we get home and we're slideshowing the pictures
On the big TV,
to the
yeah.
family.
Right. Because there's only you and I that went.
Yes.
Your
it was-
mom and Sam and Alex didn't go. Yeah.
Right. But we were slideshowing the pictures. I think the Tarnos were there too.
Yeah. There was a huge group there.
Watching all the pictures, because this was before, you Google share your pictures to
Right.
everybody.
Right. Yeah. You had to have people over to look at your pictures. Yeah.
You plug the HDMI into the camera.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And it would be like, oh, look at this shop. Here's a picture of a bike, and then just a random lady in a hat off the side of the street. And
Well, but-
like mom was like, "What are you doing?"
Well, mom didn't catch. No one caught on
meanwhile,
until
I'm
like
tallying like $5, $10,
Right.
$15.
Well, and mom didn't. No one caught on until like the 8th or 10th picture of a woman.
I got a lot of them.
You got a lot of them. And then toward the end, it was you with these young women from Warsaw, University of Warsaw or something.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite picture, not to change the subject too much, you know what my favorite picture was of you in Krakow or Warsaw, whatever it was?
Which one?
The one with the birds.
Oh, with the bird in my hat.
Do you remember that?
Mhm.
You were, what kind of hat would you call that? It
It was
wasn't
like a bucket hat.
bucket hat, and
Yeah,
you
like
put
a fishing bucket hat kind of thing.
yeah, and you put
Because there was an old lady selling bird seed
Right.
in this little square.
yeah,
There were a ton of pigeons.
yeah.
And I was having fun, like, feeding the pigeons out of my hand.
Right.
Put some in my hat. And
Yeah, and the next thing you know, they're flying all around you. They're sitting on your head.
Mhm.
Do you remember that?
yeah, I've seen a picture of the bird, like, wings open, sitting on my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if your mom has that. Maybe your mom
I don't
does
know
have a
where
picture of
those
you in
are.
her bathroom.
Yes, I do know that picture.
What's that picture?
The statue, the water.
Why don't you
spout
describe that
statue.
one?
It's a water spout statue.
Well, keep telling people.
That's all it is.
It was typical you and me just taking a picture like that.
Yeah.
So you enjoyed that trip.
Of course. I mean, I'm the person who wanted to get a tattoo of the trip.
Yeah, it's a huge tattoo. It was your first one, right, or no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got the same one. Well, similar.
Same icon.
Yeah, it's the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an awesome
The
trip.
Warsaw Dragon, or the Krakow Dragon. The Waffle Dragon.
Of all the trips I've taken you on, which has been your favorite?
Of all the trips,
Yeah. Any trip you've been on, are there some that stand out more than others that you can remember? Because we did a lot when you were little, so you wouldn't. Oh, I got a better question than that. Well, answer that one, then I got a second question. What would you say you'd look back on and go, that was a blast? It doesn't have to be us. It could be because you're with Alex or Sam or something.
I really enjoyed Italy because I was old enough
To get it?
to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, Poland was a blast, but I don't think I was old enough to appreciate it
Yeah.
at the time. Hawaii, I barely remember.
Oh, really?
Um,
Okay, you don't remember Hawaii.
I remember kayaking and having a mango off a tree and jumping off the waterfall, but that's about it.
Okay.
You know, Italy was really fun, except for the couple of times that weren't, and then
We can get to those. It's an open podcast.
then the road trip. The road trip was a blast.
Oh yeah. Can you tell everyone about that one? That truly was one of my favorite times with you, because how long did it take us to get there? 5 days?
It was.
Did it take 5 days?
I think the drive straight is about 32 hours.
It is, yeah.
And so I think we spread it out into 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
It was when I was moving to Seattle. You know, I had a bunch of things to move with, so we were gonna drive out there, and I posited that rather than just drive there, we take a little more of an interesting route, because you know, going from Chicago to Seattle, like, obviously the first stretch is the Great Plains, and there's nothing there
Right.
until you hit Colorado.
Right.
But then from Colorado on, it's some of the prettiest, you know, parts of the country, the Rockies and all that.
Right.
And so I planned out and found national parks or points of interest or things along the route to see. So we would drive for 4 or 5 hours, and then we'd have a national park that we'd spend an hour at. And then
Do you remember all the parks? Because I don't. I have to admit, I have vague memories of them, because I know we went to
the Painted Hills, the Painted Dunes, which was okay. It wasn't
as cool as we thought it was going to be.
No.
It felt scary. Did you feel scary getting there?
Well,
it's like, where the hell is the park?
It's like a gravel road, like
Right.
in the middle of nowhere in the mountains, and then all
Right.
of a sudden it's just a parking lot, and that's
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, there's no fanfare of like a national park.
That's right. Yep.
Craters of the Moon, I think in Idaho,
That was
was so cool.
That was amazing.
Lava flow tunnels. And
That was. You still can't find those pictures, can you?
I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
They're probably in a shared album online
Yeah.
somewhere. I'd have to look at that.
Yeah.
We stopped
I know
Smith
we
Rock
did
in
more.
Oregon.
Yeah, but I know we did more between those places.
I probably have
An itinerary list.
my itinerary in my phone notes.
Okay.
That's where I did it. If I scroll back
Yeah.
to my notes, but my phone is being
Yeah, it's
used
being
at the
utilized right now.
moment.
Well, what I remember was so cool about it is that you had said to me, so how old were you? 24 at the time? 23?
And I was 20.
How long have you been here now? 5 years?
I moved at the tail end of 2019.
Oh, that's right. So
So
6 years.
I would have been 22.
Yeah. So roughly 5-6 years almost.
Yeah.
I just remember you saying to me, because I don't relinquish control very easily on these kinds of trips. And I remember you saying to me, I've got the whole trip mapped out. Don't worry about it. We just need to bring this type of stuff.
And I just told you towns and days to get a hotel.
Yep. You gave me a list and said, we're going to be here at this time, get this hotel. So we never spent 2 nights in any place.
Correct.
So we didn't stop and then stay for a couple days. But the coolest thing, and I know you know this, just for everyone listening, the coolest thing was that you had it that we would get up super early in the morning. So we'd leave at 5:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. We would drive 6 hours basically, right? So that, because we knew we both felt 6 hours was a good amount of driving to do before you start getting a little weary. Mm-hmm. We'd get to some place around 11, and then we knew we would have roughly 4 hours to examine something, which is really enough time, right? You and I have been to Arches. You've been to, name some places that you went to with Mom. Like we've been to the Grand Canyon, right?
Yellowstone.
We've been to these things. 4 hours is a good amount of time, really, to get a feel for it, especially if you're going to see a bunch, right? Mm-hmm. And that was so cool as we would drive, see the site, spend 4 or 5 hours, have a really nice dinner and chill, and then check in and rest. Right? You remember that? It was, it was brilliant because it was drive in the morning super early, see something, and then we could sleep easily. So we always got a good night's sleep. Yeah. What was your favorite of all of them?
The Craters of the Moon was super cool.
Can you describe that to everybody?
It's the one I remembered the most.
Okay.
Because it was my favorite.
Yeah.
It's I'm pretty sure it's in Idaho.
I think it is. Yeah.
Lava flow fields.
Yeah.
So it's
but describe it better than that, because it was not just it's
ancient volcanic
huge
activity. So it's this massive plain that's covered in this glossy black rock.
Miles though, right?
Miles,
not like 100
all
yards.
Directions.
Yeah,
no, it's this massive plain of glossy black rock with holes and pits, and you see a lava spout just looks like a chimney coming out of the ground somewhere.
Totally dormant. It's hard rock. It's shale.
It's all
right?
old.
Yeah,
it looks like ocean rock almost.
Yeah.
But then there are the caves, some of which were massive, like 3 stories tall, like caves.
Yeah.
You could walk in and around, and the sunlight's poking through the roof. And these massive tunnels of old lava flow channels.
Just wrecked. But it happened in wasn't like the 1800s it happened? It wasn't like 1650.
I don't remember how old it is, but I think it's pretty old.
Oh, it was older than 200 years?
I think it's like
way old.
Like
2,000
years old.
Oh,
but
fuck me. I thought it was younger than that.
I really can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
I'm sure they had all the information there on placards and stuff.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was just so amazing. If anyone
cool.
gets a chance to go to it, it's called, what's it called again?
Craters of
the
Moon.
Of the Moon, yeah. Because it does look like you're walking on the moon.
Yeah. And it's a state park, not a national park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the one I had kind of the least expectations about.
Oh.
When I was doing all my research, because it's just this little state park, and I was like, oh, it's on the way. You might as well stop there.
I think we kept imagining what it would be like to be like an Indian out there, and all of a sudden, what the fuck? Because it was miles wide too. It wasn't just a channel like a river.
It was very odd to look at.
Yeah, it was crazy, right?
Just this whole area of just black, gray, pitted rock.
And nothing has changed.
Yeah.
There's nothing growing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still just rock. Mm-hmm. Destroyed earth.
Yeah, and there was a couple of mounds you could walk to the top to that were the actual volcanoes.
Right. It's crazy.
Very crazy.
What time is it? How are we doing on time? We're doing great.
We're doing great.
So what do we have in store for the rest of the weekend here? What are we doing?
Did
you mind that I'm changing gears, or you have something you want to share?
We might go looking for a coffee table.
Are we going to do that next?
Well, I figured we'd do that tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's getting about that time where we're going to start working on dinner.
Okay. Well, you're going to start working on dinner. I'm going to work on eating it.
Correct.
Yes.
I think Rainy's going to be home in just about an hour.
Can we talk about what is for dessert?
Your air fried banana.
Excuse me. That's a little personal. What's for dinner, for real? I mean, for dessert. Tell them what I showed you.
It's a banana that you cut open and you hollow it out a little bit so you can fill it with peanut butter.
Yeah.
And then top it with
chocolate,
cocoa powder, whatever it is you want, and then you air fry it.
Yeah, how good does that sound? Don't you think we should just have that for dinner? No. I'm going to take that as a no. So you just looked at the camera. You said that you just broke the fourth wall. All right. So tomorrow we're going to go. You know what's interesting? I know I'm really different than your mother when I come here because I think she orchestrates what she wants to see.
Yes, but it also can be kind of easy to plan time with
mom
and Al in particular, because when they were here for my birthday, there was one day I didn't really have anything in mind to do and that they didn't have planned. So we just went to, this was when I was still living in Ballard.
Yeah.
We went to the Ballard Strip and they spent 5 hours walking in and out of shops.
And so
it was just like, it just burns 5 hours.
Oh,
like, I don't have anything.
Is it harder to have me here?
Just steer them to the shopping district.
Is it harder having me here?
Walk in and out of the tchotchke shops.
Is it harder having me here?
It requires a little more forethought.
Really? How come?
Well, just because, like.
Do you know that if all we did was watch movies, like if you were like, let's just veg and watch movies for 5 hours, you know I would do that?
Well, I know that you're low maintenance as far as that goes.
Well, for me, it's just seeing you.
You're not going to require an itinerary, and what I like to do is just walk around, see the neighborhood, spend time.
Well, and that's so this morning I looked up to that point. I looked up places to go buy furniture because I figured we talked about this already. I figured you don't want IKEA. You want something more.
No, I like vintage stuff. I like refurbished stuff.
Yeah, so I just truly Googled vintage furniture near me. I didn't go to Facebook Marketplace because that's different.
Right.
You know what I mean? I figured let's go into some sort of salvage shop and see what they have. I gotta believe there's a ton, and sure as shit. Now we may have to rent a car for the day.
Right.
But who cares?
I figured tomorrow we could do that, and it's like $45.
Yeah.
On Turo.
And you had never heard of Turo before.
I had not.
Yeah. They should sponsor us. By the way, if you're an advertising exec for Turo, give me a call. Jack and Cathy Shit Show. Jack and Cathy Shit Show @gmail.com. Okay. Got that out of the way. So you're saying I'm difficult to be with when I'm in town. Got that.
Not
check.
I feel like I have to have things like ready to do. Although when like mom or Al visits, they need something to do.
Yes.
I'm
very comfortable sitting around. I would go to a coffee shop.
I know if I told you like I'm going to go for 4 hours and I'll be back.
Well, that would suck.
Well, if I have to go to work or something.
If you had to go to work, I would entertain myself. I would probably, you'd come home and the house would be remodeled. That's seriously, your apartment would be completely different. And I'm glad you told me not to put things on the walls because I was going to say you should get some shelves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can't even put pictures up.
I mean, I'm sure we could put stuff up in some way. Like we used thumbtacks at my old apartment.
Okay. So
because a thumbtack hole is easy enough to just slap a little.
So we're gonna go get a coffee table tomorrow. You have a green light for that.
We can look at coffee tables.
Not kitchen tables.
We haven't decided if we want a kitchen table yet. We might just get rid of the chairs and put a shelf there.
Don't you feel you would like a kitchen table, or you're gonna come in here anyway to eat? That's why you want a coffee table.
We eat on the couch anyways.
So what kind of coffee table are you thinking? Like square, like rectangle? I know it's a stupid question, but
I think a square to fill the space, something with an under shelf that things can be stored on.
Any style?
I like wood and metal.
Okay. But like era, like mid-century modern, you don't care. It'll catch your eye.
I don't like anything too intricate.
Okay.
Like fancy designs or carpentry or whatever.
You ought to, when we're done here, I'll send you the links of things that I looked at. And I don't know where any of these places are though, right? I mean, clearly we have to drive.
Right.
None of them were, I didn't see one that was walking distance. But yeah, that's exciting. What else do you have in store for me?
We can check out the comedy store or comedy club.
Would you want to do that tomorrow night? Maybe
I would do that.
I would do it too.
There's also next to the comedy club an axe throwing bar.
Okay.
If
Do you have
wanna
any
go
people?
throw
Have
some
you ever
axes?
done axe throwing?
No.
Do you want to do it? Kathy and I did it for New Year's.
Did you really?
We did.
How did that go?
Kathy was horrendous at it, like absolutely terrible. She was. She'll say it though. This is not me making it up. I was so good at it, it wasn't even hard. And I swear, Key, I'm not exaggerating. I was like throwing the hammer, the axe behind my back. I would grab it and whip it behind my back. It would stick. I'd throw it underhand, overhand, sidearm. It was the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. But if you want to do it, I'll do it with you.
Yeah, it's an axe throwing bar, so
Yeah. And then we'd go to the comedy place right next door to it, right?
It is right next door. Yeah.
Oh, let's do that. That sounds like fun.
We can do that.
Because I'm gotta believe there's music here too tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, there's music all around.
Yeah. Because tonight we're just chilling.
Yeah.
And you didn't hear any music stuff that piqued your interest.
Nothing that piqued my interest.
Yeah.
You can always walk into a venue and see whatever $5 band is playing that night.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to do that, I'm okay not doing it. The comedy thing's just right up the block. It
is.
seems like a no-brainer.
5 minutes away.
And it's probably even local talent because it seems like it's a smaller gig than like going to Zanies or something.
No, I'm sure it's just
okay.
local guys
Okay.
doing what they do.
Let me ask you this question. Do you want to keep talking? Do you have a topic you want to address? Do you want to come at me with all of your ills against me? Because I can go to therapy right now. I'll listen. Is there anything you want to share in particular?
I don't think so.
You liked this. Has this been enjoyable for you?
It's been nice, yeah.
Are you ready to take another break and then go into the skin deep? Now it's going to get deep.
It's going to get deep.
This has been a very shallow podcast. You know that we talked no deepness. Everyone's going to listen. Kathy's going to listen and go, you didn't talk about shit. So when we get back, we're not going to do the skin deep right away. But we are going to go to the deep end of the pool. You ready for that?
Sure.
Just like how life's going. Like how is it being out here? Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, rock on. We'll be right back in 2 and 2.
Jack, did you hear the news?
Kathy, I hear a lot of things, and some of them I even listen to.
Well, you'll want to listen to this. The Jack and Cathy Shit Show is officially ranked number 3 on FeedSpot's top 15 dating after divorce podcasts.
Wait, we're number 3 out of all the dating after divorce podcasts?
Yep, and that's just not some random list. FeedSpot ranks podcasts based on relevancy, authority, social media following, and freshness, which means we're actually pretty legit.
So basically, we're in the dating after divorce podcast Hall of Fame.
Exactly. And if you want to check out FeedSpot for yourself, it's an amazing platform that curates the best content from around the web. Podcasts, blogs, news, even YouTube channels, all in one place.
That means so then instead of doom scrolling through a million apps, you can just go to feedspot.com, find the content you love, and actually have time to, I guess, live your life.
Right. And if you're a content creator, FeedSpot can help you get discovered by over 415,000 bloggers, podcasters, and journalists.
So whether you're looking for great content or trying to get your own work noticed, FeedSpot seems to be the place to be.
Well, head over to feedspot.com to check it out. And while you're there, make sure to find their top 15 dating after divorce podcasts list to see our beautiful, shiny number 3 spot.
Number 3, baby! That means we are basically experts now.
Well, let's not get carried away.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we're back. Deep end of the pool, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
How do you like living here?
It's a complicated question.
Oh, go ahead. Do you mind answering it?
Oh, no, I don't mind answering it.
Okay.
I hate Seattle.
What? It's the first time you've ever said that.
I'm sure I've said it to you before, but
No.
but as a concept, I hate Seattle.
What is that? What does that mean?
Like I love where I live. I love my neighborhood now.
It's a cool neighborhood.
This neighborhood's way like the best neighborhood I've lived in.
Yeah.
Since I've lived here.
Yeah.
I like my people. I like my job. I do not. I feel safe here. I feel at home with the politics.
Yep.
Most people believe in here.
Yep.
But I do not like this city.
Why? This is truly the first time you've said that to me or anybody. I swear to God, your sister's going to call me up about so many topics on this podcast because I know she listens to it. What don't you like
I
about
could
it?
have sworn I've said this before. Like
maybe
if I were to stay, if I were to stay in the Northwest long term, I will eventually move to Portland.
So what is it about here that you don't like? Is it the obvious stuff? Is it the prices?
It's a couple things.
Okay.
So for one,
Well, can we back up for a second? Why did you want to move out here in the first place? Like, what was the impetus behind it? Was it just Demi?
3 reasons.
Okay. Hated your family.
Al lived in Portland.
Al lived in Portland. Hated your father. Al lived in Portland.
I couldn't wait to get out of my father's house. I had a friend, a really close friend, Demi, who lives here.
Yeah.
And was looking for a roommate.
Yeah.
And I had just dropped out of college.
Yeah.
And moved back home. Had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And needed somewhere to go.
Needed a change. Yeah.
And those 3 factors aligned, and Seattle just felt like a place that worked.
Yeah, because you had a connection to Seattle, right? That was Demi.
I had someone here who I could rely on, so I wouldn't be alone, and I had Al in Portland.
Close
so
enough.
I had family nearby.
Right, because Portland to Seattle's what, 3 hours?
3-hour drive on a good day.
So close enough, right? Yeah. Okay. So that was the impetus.
Yeah, I mean, I used to see her every month.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Watching Ellie or just to visit or holidays.
Yeah.
And
you'd like her to move back out here anyway.
I would like her to
I
move
think
back out here.
I want to put the focus back on you in a second. I do feel they're going to come back out here. I think there's something soulful for them here, but we'll see. You don't believe it, do
I
you?
hope I don't believe it. I think the longer they're in Chicago, the older their kid and potentially kids get, they're not going to want to move.
The age for me, if I were to recommend an age for them to do it, is no later than 3rd grade. Because kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, the kids will figure it out. You mean you guys transferred school you were in 4th grade? 2nd grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not geographically that huge, but when you're that age, that feels huge, doesn't it?
Right.
Right? Even though you just went to a school across town, correct?
Whole different people, big change.
But
you figure it out.
Yeah, because cliques haven't formed then. Groups haven't formed.
Yeah, you have like your elementary school friends, but
Correct.
It's not like...
Nah, it's more the fact that they're in their neighborhood.
Right.
Okay, so we'll get to them later. So you get out here, COVID hits.
Yes.
That fucks up your entire life.
I have lived here, I think it wasn't even 6 months at the time.
God.
I had 2 jobs, one of which was working stagecraft for a stagecraft company doing
what does that mean?
like concerts mostly. The setup and the teardown. I did a Disney on Ice show.
No way.
Helping set up for a Disney on Ice show.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that was really cool. We had to wear special things on our boots because
so you wouldn't slip?
it's on ice.
Yeah.
Very cold.
Whoa, I'll bet. Yeah.
So I was doing that. It was a little tough because it'd be, sometimes the hours were like show up at 10 p.m. and leave at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Because, if the concert ends at 9:30, then you start closing down at 10 o'clock and you're done when you're done.
How did you feel about all that? Like, were you scared? Because you're not one in the family to call people and raise your hand and say, hey, you got a minute? That's not you by nature. Is that okay to say that?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. How did you feel out here? Were you scared at all, or were you excited, or both?
I was a little bit of everything. I had people I was living with that I knew very well, so I felt good about that. It took some adjusting to. getting into work made it easier.
Yeah.
I was doing something I liked doing, and I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I was doing well at what I was doing too. Because I remember I went to the when I was first hired on, they do a little training thing for all the new stagehands. There's a better word for it than stagehand, because it's not like technically stagehand, but whatever. There's a little training where they make sure you know like what an XLR cable is, and
Oh, really?
and how to tie a bowline knot, and
Oh my God, which stuff you just
and
knew.
I just knew everything
Yeah,
from
of
my
course.
experience in high school.
Yeah.
I worked at a theater in college.
And you were played in a band.
I knew all of this stuff,
Yep.
and so like I was kind of fast tracked as like, you don't need to be babied.
Wow.
We can tell you what needs to be done, and you can get it done.
Wow.
So I was doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And then during the day, to make more money, I was canvassing.
Canvassing.
I was door-to-door canvassing
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
for humanitarian aid. I was terrible at it. I was,
Really?
Oh God, yeah. It's just
it's so
sales.
not you.
It's just sales for nice people.
It's just so not you.
No.
With your lack of interest in social activities in that way.
Well, I would like knock on a door and I'd be like, "Hey, we have a moment to talk about like human rights." They'd be like, "No," and I'd be like, "Okay, bye." And the person who was training me was like, "No, you gotta get them on the hook. You gotta really like
Right.
try to sell it." And I was like, "But they said no."
Do you remember Tommy Boy?
Yeah.
When he's
Yeah.
walking around going, "Would you like to have some?" Okay, then we'll leave. Because he would get up right away when they said
Almost
no.
exactly like that. Yes. Because canvassing is just sales for people who
Yeah.
are nice.
Yeah.
And I was terrible at it.
Oh God.
But that's how I was making extra money during the day, and then at nights when there was work available, I was doing this stage work.
Yeah.
Not even 6 months, and the office building my canvassing job was based out of is the office building with the first confirmed case of COVID in America.
Wow.
And so that shuts down. The office shuts down
That fast.
Mhm.
Do you remember? It was March 10th when Illinois shut down.
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
I don't remember the exact dates.
Well, I was
Right.
was dating someone else at the time, and I was going to see a concert in Vegas. Do you remember calling me? Because I said, I'm going to Vegas, and you said, I really don't think you should be on a plane right now. Do you remember this at all? Or
I
no?
think so, because we got it earlier.
You called and said, I'm convinced, again, your sister's probably listening, I'm convinced Alex got COVID in October, November, because she called me up saying, I've got a terrible cold and I can't taste anything. She kept saying, I can't taste anything. And I, of course, just jumped to, because we didn't know, right?
Right.
I jumped to, you're just massively congested right now. That's why you're not tasting anything. Dad, I have tried hot peppers, nothing. And so I'm convinced that somehow I know it was you said January you got it? But I'm
February.
convinced somehow it might have been here sooner, but maybe it was the first known exactly what this is case.
Right. Yes.
Right? Like now we know it's called COVID, but before then it was just this illness going on. But you called me and said, I really don't want you going to your concert in Vegas. And that night was March 7th or March 8th. March 9th was the show, and we're on a flight coming back on March 9th that evening. Or no, 8th was the show, 9th we were coming back. And you told me, wipe down the plane, I'm telling you. So I went out and bought handy wipes or whatever, and I was wiping down the plane. People were making fun of me. And then the next day we were shut down.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you're here.
Yeah. No, my office closes. They tell us, everything's on hold for a moment. I think this was maybe a Thursday.
Oh God.
And then I remember on the following Sunday, because I had, we had some friends over, and there was, I think, 7 of us hanging out at our apartment. And when the news starts coming through that Seattle is shutting down.
You were the first city in the country, weren't you?
I think we
Or
were
was
the
it New
first city
York?
to shut down.
Okay.
It might have been
Whatever, it was up there. Yeah.
us or New York. We
Yeah.
we're the port cities for
Yep.
people.
Yep.
And yeah, it was that Sunday where we were all like, guess nobody's going to work tomorrow.
That had to just suck.
Everything was closed. My jobs were closed.
And you had no income.
I had zero income. I had moved to Seattle with a bunch of money saved. I had cashed out my childhood bonds.
Oh, you did.
Mm-hmm. I did all of that before moving to Seattle.
Wasn't part of your hope to hook up with a band too?
Oh yeah, I had
Yeah.
hopes of doing music stuff as well,
Yeah.
and I'd hoped that being in the stage industry would help
Yeah, just a
meet
natural
people who are
connection. Yeah.
in music. But I had a bunch of money saved up from working in college.
Yeah.
Cash out my bonds, and so I moved to Seattle with enough money to feel like okay. And then all of a sudden, I was unemployed. The world was shut down, and
They didn't give you any PPP money, did they?
nope.
See, because you were a contractor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I started losing money and running out of savings very fast.
Yeah.
And I think it was
But you asked me for help.
maybe 6-7 months I was unemployed.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucked.
Yeah, my mental health was terrible.
Yeah,
I was in a
I can't imagine.
terrible place mental health wise.
Yep.
I had my agoraphobia was at an all-time high.
You got to help me with what is that?
Remember Sheila from Shameless?
No. What is agoraphobia?
Well, she doesn't want to leave her house.
Oh,
She's
that's what that
she's
is.
afraid of leaving her
That's
house.
right. Oh, yeah. You told me that. That's right.
Yeah, so I had really bad agoraphobia where I was
Okay.
terrified anxiety of leaving my apartment. I wasn't eating like at all. Because I still had to go to my doctor's appointments every 3 months. The first time I went back to the doctor after all this got really bad, they were doing their standard like
Blood work stuff.
weigh-in and everything, and I
Yeah.
had lost 35 pounds in 3 months.
Oh my God.
I weighed in at about 130.
Oh
And they
my
were like,
God.
"Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's..."
I don't remember you being that skinny. We probably just didn't see anyone because we couldn't.
I didn't see anybody for
Right.
forever.
How
no.
could we see anyone? Right. It was almost a
And-
year before anyone could see each other.
Yeah. So, they told me I had to eat to take care of myself. And it was shortly after that appointment that I decided to get my job delivering food.
Yeah.
Because I was just trying to find any way to make money.
Yeah.
At that point, I was broke. I had borrowed a bunch of money to
Yep.
pay rent. I owed Demi something like $2,000.
Yeah.
Because Demi was still able to keep working during this time.
Okay.
I think she was still working for Costco.
Okay. Wow.
And so I
Did you-
started delivery driving.
Did you ever think of coming home? Did you ever think, fuck, I got to throw in the towel for the moment?
It crossed my mind, but I felt like I had to commit to being here.
How does it feel looking back on that now? We were talking about it on the walk. Do you look at it positively?
It feels like a different time entirely.
I know that, but do you feel? I guess what I'm getting is I'm hoping you feel proud of what you overcame. No, you don't. It was that traumatic. You don't look at it positively.
I
at all?
feel positively about where I am now in contrast to where I was.
But do you see that you were able to survive it that way? Do you look at it that way? You don't give yourself credit, do you?
I don't give myself a lot of credit for how some of it went. But I do recognize I found, during that time, I also found my favorite therapist that I've ever had.
Yeah.
I worked with her for almost 2 years, which
Yeah.
changed a lot for me too.
Yeah.
So I've come a long way since then.
Yeah.
Emotionally, physically, mentally,
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah.
But it was a very long journey. I feel like I lost most of my 20s.
Wow.
I was 22 in a new city
When it happened.
and everything shut down, and I, in the throes of unemployment and mental health and delivery
and the
driving to
country
make money,
and the country shut down.
and the country shut down.
Not even
Yeah.
able to go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Not being able to see family or friends.
I couldn't even go to see Portland to see Al.
Right. Were there restrictions crossing the border and stuff like that?
We just didn't want to do anything.
You don't want to take a chance. Because
Eventually, I started seeing her again.
Yeah.
But
you know what's interesting, Key? I feel bad for your generation, you and Sam in particular, because you were just trying to get your career started, and Sam was just trying to enjoy his college career. Mm-hmm. Al was already kind of working, and she had Sam, so she could at least commiserate with someone, right? Your brother Sam stayed with me, so at least I had COVID modulation, if you will, so I had someone in the house with me.
Mm-hmm.
you had at least Demi or others around you, so at least you had someone.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say this, for people my age, it was kind of like a blip. And I really mean it. It wasn't, not to say it wasn't traumatic in its way, but we kind of figured, well, we're not, like, for example, Cathy's daughter, Mac, who you know, didn't have a college graduation.
Right.
You're never going to get that back. There were kids who didn't get to play Little League Baseball, right? Because it's over by the time that season was done. There are kids that didn't get a chance to finish their last year of high school. You know, that like you fall into that category of people that me losing a year, I got to watch Netflix and hang out with my mom.
And you work from home anyways.
And I worked from home. So, you know, big deal. I went grocery shopping for my family and I'd sit outside and talk. For me, it was, this is fucking great. I'm not getting on a plane every week, right? Because I was. So I'm sorry you went through that. I hope you do. So you feel your 20s was shot.
I feel a lot of it, yeah.
Even though you're only 27.
I'm only 27. I am aware I still have 20s left.
All right.
But I feel like I blinked and most of it just flew by.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because nothing happened. There was nothing going on.
Nope. And no even social progress for you, no career progress.
Right.
So then you land on your feet and you get this. Do you remember you and I would talk and I would say to you, if you're down to your last bullet, you got to come home. Do you remember those conversations at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I didn't mean to bring up stuff that was too hard, but I remember having talks with you saying, you got to jump on a plane if you can't make this work. And so you should be proud of the fact that you didn't jump on that plane. And then you got essentially landed at the job you're in right now. Mm-hmm. Right? When you love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
If you say you don't love it.
No, I do love my job.
You do.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stress. There are days when I don't love my job.
Of course.
But I do very much appreciate what I do.
So I made you segue all the way around. We're going to come right back to the ending.
Around.
Why do you hate Seattle?
So I hate Seattle. And like, there's a few reasons there. One of which is that the city is a tech nightmare. So between like Microsoft and Amazon, and all the other tech companies, every part of the city is gentrifying like crazy. Every part of the city is getting super expensive.
Yeah. Truly tell everyone what the price of eggs are here. I know
well, part of that's the bird flu, but eggs at the grocery store are $10 a dozen.
$1 an egg.
$1 an egg, yes.
I get it's because of bird flu. I get all that, but keep going.
Yeah, so it's expensive. And it feels like I don't have the validity to complain about this because I'm someone who moved to Seattle. So like I'm a transplant, but the number of people who are like from Seattle is like rapidly diminishing.
Yeah, we heard that today.
And you have a lot of Californians. You have a lot of people who have moved here for tech work. Mm-hmm. A lot of assholes, a lot of bad drivers. And so the culture has shifted dramatically in the last couple decades from what I've heard. And with that, you have this massive wealth inequality in the city.
Yeah, it's really present.
You have two separate social classes, one of which are these
incredibly wealthy
people who are making 6+ figures a year, living in the fancy housing because they can afford housing.
Yeah.
And buying their $20 eggs.
The stereotype of the 1%ers. If people who are listening to this aren't from the West or from the Midwest or wherever, I know it sounds like it's hyperbole on the news that the growing divide between the haves and have-not, or the divide is growing between the haves and have-nots, may feel like it's hyperbole, but it's not. I mean, it really is getting worse. And Seattle seems to me to be a true example of that because there's so many tech companies here.
Yeah.
It's no different than Northern California.
Mm-hmm. It's replicating San Francisco.
100%.
And what happened to Silicon Valley in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And so you've got this upper class of people with way too much money.
Yep.
And then you have everybody else. And it just makes it both hard to see the social divide, but also like if I can't afford to live by myself in this city.
Right.
If I didn't have a partner, if I didn't have someone to live with and split rent with, I could not afford to live here.
Yeah. And it's funny because when I would love to get into political debates with people at this, well, then get a better job. That's always the answer, right? It's always this bullshit. Well, get a better job. As if it's just there's this abundance of better jobs out there, right? Number one. Number two, now it's just, well, go be an insurance person. So what is there going to be 5 billion insurance people and no one else doing other work? So it infuriates me, but I'll shut up because this is not about me. So that's why you're not liking it.
So that's a part of it. You know, the city is pretty. Mm-hmm. It's nice. It's dirty. It also, partially because of probably all the tech people, it feels like it's lost a lot of its culture. You know, people always talk about Seattle like in the 80s and 90s was, you know, the home of grunge. It was a very culturally underground kind of city. The area of town I live in now used to be like known to be like the starving artist part of town.
Doesn't look like that now, by the way.
Not really, no.
No. And that bums you out.
A little bit, yeah. It's the easiest comparison is with Portland, where you go to Portland and there's something about how it feels walking around Portland that you feel like it's a space people live in. You know, it has culture, it has community. You know, the Sunday market in Portland, there's nothing like that in Seattle.
It's fantastic.
It's so cool. So cool.
Both of them, the art market and the food market, the farmer's market, yeah. You know, it's stunning how nice it is.
You can walk down to a food truck alley at 1 a.m. and get a burger, and there's people hanging out. And, the city feels very alive.
You know they have growth limits on Portland, right? They're not allowed to expand.
Right.
Which keeps the prices controlled, the housing controlled, the overreach control. Maybe it might hurt for business because it's not designed to grow that way, but it's also not obnoxious like Seattle. I think I told you when you first moved here, because I had been here clearly when I was younger. But when you first moved here, I was like, "This isn't it. I can't fucking believe the traffic." That's what blew me away. So, you feel that Portland may be in your future then?
Yeah. Seattle feels very fake and gilded.
Oh,
in
wow.
this very facade kind of way.
Okay.
Portland just feels a little more real, and that's why I like where I live now, because where I live now, it has felt the most like real.
Yeah.
Out of anywhere I've been in Seattle, Ballard, I felt it the most. Ballard felt a
little Midwestern, upper middle class family.
A bit too much like Naperville.
Yeah,
honestly.
It totally did. Totally. Yeah, I get it.
There's a bit more soul here, but I feel like Portland just feels a lot more like that soulful kind of city.
Or Paris.
Or we'll see.
I think you should do it. I think you should do it. I'll take a trip with you. Do you want to do it this summer? Let's go.
We'll see.
Let's go now. Let's book it. We don't wait. You don't say we'll see. Remember I told you that at breakfast. What did I say to you?
Yeah.
We don't use the words. What are the 3 words we don't ever want to use? Woulda,
coulda, shoulda. Yes.
Don't do it. Don't think back on life or even a moment and say, shit, I should have done that or could have done that. Well, if I would have done that, look where I might be instead. Fuck that.
But yeah, so I don't like Seattle.
That really surprises me. It truly does, because
I like a lot of it and I like a lot of my life in it, but I do not like
Well, then let's go to Portland. If you tell your sister you're ready to go to Portland, I pretty much guarantee she'd pack up. And you don't think your mom would come out here? No, we talked about this.
I don't think so.
I gotta believe with Eli, no offense to you kids, now that the goober's born, I gotta believe she would move because of Bubba. No? I would move out here because of you guys. Bubba doesn't know anything. Bubba won't be a human being until around 5 years from now. Right now, he's just a crawling blob who shits and eats. He won't even be able to talk for 2 years. Mm-hmm. We've got another year and a half before he even knows how to say anything, really. Right? He'll nod his head, but he can't do anything. So I would move out here for you.
Okay.
If you go to Portland, so it's interesting. We were actually looking at homes, Cathy and I in Portland, and so is Al. And it's much more affordable than certainly here,
Yes.
and much more affordable than the Midwest, or equal to at least. So you should talk to your sister about it. Seriously. Let's do it. Let's plan a move by the end of this year. Okay. When we come back, you and I are going to do, is that okay that we talked about all this?
That's fine.
When we come back, we're going to do Skin Deep. I'm going to ask some questions, okay?
All right.
You ready for that?
Sure.
It's going to get deep into the pool.
Okay.
I'm serious.
Got it.
All right. On that note, see you in 2 minutes. And we're back. Would you like to go first? So for anyone that watches the podcast, listens to the podcast, knows that we have a relationship with the Skin Deep. And if you already heard the commercial, so I don't need to repeat it. I did not bring my card decks with me, but at the end of every episode, Cathy and I ask each other a question about our relationship to get to know each other a little bit better. And so you and I are going to, because you've known me, I think I've known you for at least 20 years. So I have 7. Cathy sent me pictures of the card decks and said, I'm just going to write them down. And then I know I'm boring you. So Key's yawning, by the way. There are 7 questions here. So I don't know what the numbers are. I just wrote them down real quick. No particular order. You're going to pick 1 through 7. And then we'll switch it. And you take over. Do you want to go first in answering, or do you want me to go first?
I can answer first.
You'll answer first.
Sure.
1 through 7. Pick a number.
3.
3. How do we handle conflict differently, and what's the advantage in that? It's relative to our relationship, right? So how do we handle conflict differently, and what's the advantage of that?
We don't approach a lot of conflict.
Well, maybe thinking in terms of how we've had conflict in our lives. You don't seem to want to answer this. How do we approach conflict? Just like we're conflicting right now. How about just in general, like how you would approach a situation versus me? Talk about, like, for example, on the train today. That's conflict when that guy started yelling at those girls.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we approach things differently, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
Well, how are we different?
Okay, I think.
Is it rounding for you now better?
Yeah.
Okay.
The question didn't totally make sense in my head.
Meaning our personal conflict with one another. Got it. Because we don't battle that much anymore.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Or do like a different question.
No.
All right.
I'd be giving up. You are a much more confrontational person than I am.
Yes.
You are a head-on, solve a problem kind of conflict.
You are trying
person.
so nicely to package me in some positive way. You can be honest here. It's okay. It's a safe space.
That's me being honest.
Okay.
Is that you will not stand idly by, and it is a very it's effective, I'll give you that, by and large. Very assertive, very to the point. There's not passive aggressive. There's no avoidance of anything. I am very much not that way.
Right. How do you think that affects us?
And like our relationship?
Yeah. Have I gotten better at that, at least from what you've seen from years ago?
Well, compared to years ago, yes.
Yeah.
I am conflict avoidant.
Yes, always have been, correct.
So I will not address something if I don't have to.
Do you think that serves our relationship together at all? Have you?
It didn't in the past.
Yeah. Have we both learned to come toward the middle of each other? You closer to me and me closer to you in regards to our styles?
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to kind of compare against the modern times because it really doesn't happen much where we have to solve conflict together.
How did you feel when you had to tell us that you weren't going to be producing our show anymore? Because that's a conflict, right? That's a
sure.
I'm not trying to say degrees of conflict like fists up, but you had to say, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
How did that feel? Did you have to process that a lot to figure out how you're going to say it?
I did. I did have to think about it at length.
Were you worried about the response?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Did you get the response you thought you were going to get?
Yes.
You did. What was that? I don't remember my response.
Well, you were like that because I was like, I have too much going on. I don't have the ability to reliably do this for you, and I don't want to hold back the delivery of your show because I can't get your work done.
Yeah.
And you said it was a very mature way to put it, and you thanked me for letting you know and taking care of myself and whatever, which is what I expected.
Did you hang up the phone and go?
Like, for all intents and purposes, that's what I knew you were going to say.
Okay.
Because I kind of know how you think now.
Okay. What's that? How do I think now?
Like, that's just how you would have responded. Like,
much more calm, you're saying?
Yes.
Much more rational?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it took a lot of therapy. Therapy's a good thing.
Therapy is a good thing.
Yeah. $10,000 of therapy, by the way.
Money well spent.
Thank you. All right.
That was a difficult question.
Because I know the numbers, sort of, so you pick a question you want me to ask you. And don't pick an easy one. This is deep end of the pool time.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't pick that one.
Which one was that?
Because if you asked me that question, I would have cried.
Oh, I'm going to ask it now then.
No,
which one is it? You got to ask it. You got to say. You got to answer it. What is it? You got to cry. What's the question?
I have to ask you a question.
What's the question you don't want to answer? What number?
Can you guess?
I can't see it. It's my problem. What do you? I can't because they're all really deep.
They're all pretty deep. Here.
Okay, what would you have answered? What's another question you're pondering the most? You tell me.
I can't read some of these.
Well, what's the one you could read? Because clearly you could read the one you were thinking about.
I want to ask you a question.
You can, but then we're gonna get back to yours. Deal? Shake. You shook.
Sure.
Okay. So ask me a question. A lot of dead air here right now. There's 7 questions.
I have to read.
I know. Can you read my
Your
writing?
handwriting.
I know. It's very chicken scratchy. How you doing there?
What can I do more of to be happier?
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think you'd pick that one. You ready?
Sure.
You buckled up? So I feel strongly about this, very, very strongly. I think despite the fact that your family drives you crazy, they do mean a lot to you. And this isn't all on you. We have to be more proactive in coming out here to see you because it can't always be, since we're mostly in the Midwest. Key, when you coming out? So that means either we've got to pay for your ticket and force you to come out, but that also means that you're away from work, you're away from your routine, you got to pack things up. So one of the things, there's several things I think you can do to be happier. I think you should tell people I think you should be really blunt and honest with how you feel and be able to say to your mother and me and your sister and brother, it really hurts me that you're not here often because I miss you. And I think that going to that deep end of the pool is not easy for you. Saying those words, because I miss you, or I really would like you to come out here. You are very much like like my mother, who would cut her arm off and go, it's fine, it's just bleeding, it's fine, give me a towel. Where it's very difficult for my mom to say, I miss you. I really miss you and I really love you. And I think you would be happier. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to always say, okay. I think I truly feel you'd have a bigger impact if you said to your mother, for example, really want you to come out here because it hurts me. I don't see you as often as I'd like to. I miss you. How's that? Does that hit hard? You're yawning, so you must be bored out of your mind.
I'm tired.
Does that hit at all? Does that land?
No, it's good.
Okay. Second, I feel strongly you need to do more with things that I call connection ports. And in all of us are things that really bring out our soul, that for whatever reason we can change in so many ways, how we react or interact with people. Clearly I've changed over the years, right? But there's always these connection ports, things that are true to your soul. And just watching you today play guitar, and again, I'm not trying to push you. You asked what I think would make you happier, is to dedicate time to music. Because it comes so naturally for you and it's so easy for you. Don't try to view it as an obligation or try to view it as a destination or to view it as an output. Meaning, I'm going to join a band. That has so many more outputs layered to it. Scheduling time for yourself to pick up the guitar, scheduling time to record some things just to have it, sending it out to people makes us feel connected too, and you'd be happier. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Do you feel good about that? And then I also think in your relationships and in your work with everybody. So whether it's Rainey, whether it's Demi, whether it's me, work, I feel you need to be, you encountered some of this months ago when there were some relationship things affecting you and stuff like that, right? Without going into too far detail. Being able to politely say no to people. So I'm going to do this now. This is what I want to do. I feel you, and maybe because of the way you were raised, that you feel obligated to people a lot of times, and be obligated to yourself and feel comfortable with saying, not right now, or I'd really need you to show up for me this way. How does that hit you? Hard? Is that bad?
No.
What's your reaction to it?
I think it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to punch me now or something?
No.
I can't read you very well. What question did you want to ask? What was the one? Do you remember it?
No.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I know what question I'm talking about.
Okay. Good.
What?
Well, you said there's another question.
No.
The one you were glad you didn't answer. What is that?
Yeah, there was one of the questions that I'm glad you didn't ask
me. Okay, well, what is it?
I don't want.
Yeah, but I want to ask it.
But why?
Because
though?
this is a podcast about relationships and deepening it, and we'll get closer because of it.
Why we don't have to go that deep.
Yeah, we do. Sure we do. It's important to me. Do you not want to do it?
It's like the Lady Gaga song.
I don't know Lady Gaga.
Far from the Shallows Now.
Oh, yeah. I can't stand that movie.
I know.
You picked the worst movie. I hate that movie.
It's so bad.
Oh, it's such a bad movie. And by the way, I can't stand this part. I can't stand sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-los. I don't get that at all. That's it. Done saying it. What's the question?
That was it.
Shut up. Which one is it? What's the number?
It's the last one.
Last one. Let me read that. You ready to answer it?
No.
You have to answer it.
Why?
Oh, I love this question. What do you need to hear from me? Oh, we can't have this much silence. It's a podcast.
I know.
All right.
It's a hard question.
Blurt it out. Rip off the Band-Aid. What do you need to hear from me? I'll give you money. Is that it? The guitar is yours. What do you need to hear from me?
That I'm in the will.
You are in the will. You know what your job is?
And I'm the.
Well, it's got to change now because I'm married. So.
Oh damn.
Yeah, but you know what your job is in the will?
What is it?
Finance. So when you write a will, one person can't be responsible for pulling the plug and the money.
Right.
You get the obvious reason why.
Al's the plug.
Al's the plug. You're the money.
Yeah. Sam can't be the plug.
Sam can't be either. Because if Sam was bold, I'd be gone right now. What do you need to hear from me? Feel safe. Do you not feel safe?
It's just tough.
Okay.
It's tough.
Do you want to say it?
It's tough emotion.
It's okay. I'm here. I will say it. I promise you I'll say it.
I don't.
It's a good one, though. Do you want to just do it offline? And then I'll pretend to turn off the recording? But not really? If you don't want to ask it or don't want to say it, you don't have to. I really mean that.
I'm just... Oh, God.
This is good, though, no?
It's hard to speak.
It's okay. I'm here.
I'm happy that you have... grown in the way that you have as a person.
Okay.
And that our relationship has grown as we've gotten older and I have become an adult.
Yep.
Because there was a lot of times that were not
easy.
Yep. To put it that way.
Yep.
Jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to do this.
It's just a lot.
Okay. Okay. If you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. I am here.
I know.
Okay. We can talk about it afterward. Is it hard to know that it's going to be publicized or just hard saying it in general?
All of it.
Okay.
It's hard saying it in general. And it's
okay.
hard being vulnerable. And it's hard being vulnerable in front of a camera.
Yeah, I get it. I get that. The good news is no one watches this.
Oh, I know.
No one listens.
Al's going to listen to it.
Just Alex.
I'm going to get a call that's like, what did you want to say to him?
Right. Why did you say it? You sure?
I just want to hear that you're here and you love me and you're proud of me.
I couldn't be prouder of you and I couldn't love you more. You know that. Now you should. Because what did I say to you when we were going for a walk today? Do you remember what I said to you?
I said a lot of things.
Huh?
You said a lot of
things. Well, I talk too much. But when we were by that park, do you remember what I said to you? Do you look back on your days here and go, I did it, I made it? So that was awesome. You crushed it. You did all this by yourself. Key, there was one time when I had paid your rent 2 months in a row. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I said what? When the third month came out, do you remember what I said to you?
I don't remember.
I can't do it anymore. If you can't find a job, I can't do it. I can't keep funding this. You got to find a way to make money. And I have to admit, I hung up the phone and I cried. And I don't think I was dating Cathy at the time. Maybe I was. But I remember Sam was at Iowa. Mm-hmm. So I probably was dating her then. And I remember I cried because I said, I just told someone I love very much that they're on their fucking own. And I felt I had to do it, not as some sort of lesson, but I was bleeding money. And look what you did. I am so terribly proud of you. You're on my album that's coming up. I adore you and I love you. You've been more courageous, and I tell you it all the time, than anyone I've ever known. To step into the life that you want to live is amazing. You know what were the weirdest and best 3 weeks of my life, or 5 weeks, or wherever the hell it was?
It was when you were in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Staying in
and I wasn't going to leave you. If I could take you back to when you were 10 years old and you and I used to have a ton of goofy fun, I would, but we can't. I love you. You're amazing. You are truly amazing. Do you feel that from me? Huh?
I do, yeah.
You are truly amazing, and thank you for giving me the chance to be a different man. Because I say it all the time to Cathy. I'm like, you have no idea how tough of a person I was on these 3 people. And if you listen to the Hard Knocks podcast, when it comes out, you 3 are the only thing that matters to me. Cathy matters to me. But I have to legally now because of the ring. But without the 4 of you guys, I'm 0. And that's why when I had a chance to jump on a plane and see you, I called you and said, I'm coming out. I love you. You are amazing. Everything about you is amazing. Never, ever forget it. And you pick up the phone when you want me to come out again, and I'm here in a heartbeat. Cool?
Sure.
Do you believe me?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm so proud of you. I really mean it. You're absolutely stunning. You truly are. I will never have the courage that you have. Never. And I don't want you to ever stop having it. Okay? Are you glad this is a different dad you see now? Because it means the world to me. On that note, how do you feel now?
Ah, Jesus.
I love you tremendously, and I'm very proud of you. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you believe me?
Mm-hmm.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Good that we didn't ask more questions. Imagine if we did a real skin deep. You would have been a wreck.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
I know you didn't want to do that. I think you wanted to avoid some of that. I understand. On that note, you know what we do at the end of the episode, right?
Make sure we're still going.
That would suck. Oh, you got lucky. We're still going.
All right.
All right, on that note, look at the camera. Peace.
You just listened to another episode of the Jack and Cathy Shit Show. All recording, engineering, and production provided by us. Connect with the podcast on Instagram at Jack and Cathy Shit Show for more insight into our shit show of a life. This episode is proudly brought to you by Pint Productions.
Point.